Welcome, everyone, to the Daniel Krug and Associates online safety webinar for October 22nd, 2020. Today's presentation is entitled Working and Playing from Home. My name is Rocky Istvan. I'm the Chief Compliance Officer and Associate Wealth Manager at Daniel Krug and Associates. This is a reminder that this presentation is for information and illustrative purposes only. It is not a solicitation and should not be considered any type of investment or tax advice. The information that we're presenting today are from sources that we believe to be reliable, but we cannot guarantee its accuracy, and you need to do some research on your own. We hope to give you some good tips on online security. This is going to take about 25-30 minutes in duration. This session will be recorded, as you may want to review it again later. We'll have the type of information with some websites and things like that you can go research a little further. Again, everyone will be muted on this webinar, but you can use the chat room. If you have a question, type it in on the right side of your screen, and we will try to get to that at the end. Before we get into the online security side of things, we are a wealth management firm, and I want to remind everybody what wealth management means to us. So most firms out there that call themselves wealth management firms focus in on investment strategy, and that is important. And some firms do it better than others. That's the overall theme of wealth management, that you have a good, solid investment strategy, a solid investment plan. But we believe in taking it much farther to enhance your total net worth and return over time. And that's through advanced planning strategies such as wealth enhancement. And you can see the different sub-strategies under there. Wealth transfer strategies, wealth protection strategies, and ultimately charitable giving strategies. And I'd say about a third of our clients are charitably inclined and really want the tax benefits and things that you can get along with a good strategy depending on your situation. So I will say hi again real quick here as we go over the agenda. So today we're going to cover online safety and internet fraud, give you some basics for improving your safety online. What's the difference between security, privacy, and anonymity? That's interesting. I don't think everybody totally understands those terms. And then what does Daniel Krug and Associates do to protect our client information? So that's what we will wrap up with. And again, I'm going to hop off. See you guys in a little bit and continue on. In 2018, this was the last major update from the Council of Economic Advisors, but they estimated that between $57 and $109 billion a year is the cost to the U.S. economy for malicious cyber activity. So this is no small thing. Obviously, we are going more and more online as a society, doing more transactions online, from everything from banking to purchasing goods and services. And so there is a definite cost in the technology that we're using as people are trying to invade that technology. And where do most of these attacks come from? Well, the biggest come from nation states, places like Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. But there's also corporations that participate in types of espionage where they're seeking illicit access to proprietary information of other companies. Hacktivists. These are private individuals or groups that have a political agenda, and ultimately organized criminals and people that are just opportunists and company insiders are out there trying to gain your information and company's information illegally. So let's talk a little bit about online safety. The first place I'm going to take you to is the government website on online safety. Actually is a very good site, and we're just going to cover some of the things that they provide so you can see. This is a great starting point. The source of the website is at the bottom of your screen here. You can see the HTTPS US Gov online safety. But they give you some good basic instruction on how to protect yourself online. And some of the do's are learn how to spot common scams and frauds, learn the warning signs of internet fraud, phishing, and online scams. And for everywhere that you see it underlined, that means you can click on that and get further information. So what is internet fraud, what is phishing and online scams, and we'll cover a little bit more of that in a minute. Keep your computer software updated. That's very important. Download the latest versions of your operating system, web browsers, and apps as they become available. Talk to your kids about being safe and responsible online. Find out how you can protect your kids online. And again, that's underlined, so they have a whole section on helping kids understand how to be safe online, and I would access that. Next, some of the don'ts on the website. Don't share your passwords and sensitive information with anyone you don't trust. It's also important to learn how to keep your laptop safe from identity theft when you're in public. Again, it's underlined. Click on that. It will take you to ways to stay safe when you're online, even when you're in public. Don't use the same passwords for multiple accounts. Try to make your passwords unpredictable and avoid using names, dates, or common words that others would know to identify you with. And don't trust giving out personal information over unencrypted websites. You can only trust websites that begin with HTTPS because the S means they're secure, or there's a little lock button on the web browser address. Those sites convert your information into a code that prevents exposure to professional scammers. Let's talk for a minute on internet fraud and what the government website shows us about that. These are the most common examples of internet fraud: data breaches. We've heard in the news company after company that had been hacked and been able to access their clients' personal and private information. And this is a big, big concern. Obviously, firms are getting better at managing this because we've had less and less of this occurring, but it is still out there. So these companies are always trying to stay one step ahead of the hackers. Malware. This is software that is designed to disable your computer. And if anybody's had malware on their computer, they know it shuts everything down, and now you're taking it in to try to get it fixed. Phishing or spoofing involves the use of fake emails, text messages, or copycat websites to commit identity theft. Okay, and again, it's underlined, phishing and spoofing. You can click on that and get more understanding of the terms and what is going on and how to prevent those things from happening to you. Internet auctions are a big issue. You can go online, you think you're buying a product from an internet site, and the product never comes. So there's a lot of fraudulent sites out there imitating other companies as retailers and trying to get you to give them your credit card information to buy something. They charge your card and you never get the product. Also, credit card fraud occurs when scammers fraudulently acquire credit or debit card numbers to obtain money or property. So how do you protect yourself? Learn how to spot internet fraud by knowing the warning signs of common fraud schemes. Again, that's underlined. You can click on that. I'm not going into all these details today. I'm trying to help you get resources to learn what's out there, how to stay up to date, and then how these schemes include phishing or spoofing, data breaches, and malware. So there's a lot of information there on this website. Know your buyer or seller. If you don't know who you're buying from or selling to online, you better do some research and check them out to make sure that they are a legitimate site to be dealing with. Update your antivirus software and anti-spyware software programs. Again, if you don't know a lot about this, there's information available out there. You can go to stores like Best Buy and Office Depot, and they can instruct you on what types of software to use to protect yourself. These are very, very important things to have on your computer to prevent somebody from putting malicious programs on your computer that will shut you down. Don't give out your personal information to anyone you don't trust. That's the bottom line. Never provide it in response to an email, a pop-up, or a website you've linked to from an email or a web page. And don't keep your computer running all the time. I know a lot of people, they just kind of leave it on and they think that it goes to sleep. And then they go to bed and get up the next morning and continue working on their computer. That's really not recommended because hackers that are trying to hack into your internet service provider, if they can get in there and your computer's on, even though it may be asleep, it's still on, and they can access your computer if they are able to hack into your provider. So just to be safe, shut your computer off if you're not using it, and it'll protect you from being attacked when you're not even on your computer. And finally, report internet fraud. So here's the website location, Internet Crime Complaint Center. You can see it's underlined, or the FBI's online tips form. You need to notify the police and the Internet Crime Complaint Center or the FBI if you believe you've been involved in some type of fraud or cyber crime. So again, this all comes from the government online safety website, a great place, I believe, to start. And where we're going to go on now, I will pop on and talk a little bit about what we've been learning as a firm and what we've been learning for our own personal use of our computers. There's some very basic things that we believe everybody, if they're able to, should do. And then we're going to give you a couple additional considerations of things you might want to research to add to your security while you're online. So let's move on with 5 basics for improving safety online. The first is use two-factor authentication whenever possible. I know with my bank, I have the ability, and I do, when I log in and put in my password, it immediately sends a second request for authentication to my phone. And it gives me a PIN number, a personal number to authorize me in. And I type that into the second authentication section of the login before it lets me in. And what this is really good for, if somebody did happen to get your login and password, let's say to your bank, they still can't access it unless they get the private code that was sent to your phone. So it's a great way to protect that kind of information. So use two-factor whenever possible. Don't use the same password everywhere. This is really, really big. Do not use the password for your bank that you use for your email. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about email, but it's really important that it will protect you to have different passwords for different sites so that if somebody obtained one of your passwords illegally, they couldn't use it everywhere you go. Third, update the software on your computer. You might think, well, if all they're doing is changing their program a little bit, I don't need that. My program's running fine. Part of the changes to these programs are always preventing new ways that people have tried to hack into those programs. So they've put blockers in there. They put things in there to prevent that. So it's not always just upgrading the functionality of what you're doing in the program, let's say like a Microsoft Word or a Microsoft Excel, okay? They are putting things in there to protect that program from hackers, along with upgrading the serviceability or functionality of that software. So don't ignore those things. Constantly update your computer software when the updates come out. Be careful with how much information you post online. Facebook is the perfect example of this. When you put it out there, it don't go away, okay? So we've heard of stories of people that are posting, I'm in Hawaii on vacation, look how great this is. Well, some hacker or somebody that's a criminal gets that information, guess what? They know you're not home, okay? So that just opens you up to potential crime, okay? So be careful with how much information you're posting online and what information it is. And be careful when sharing personal information. You do not need to be putting in social security numbers and things like that, in most cases, in places that you're going, things like Facebook and Twitter and things like that. Be very careful. Know the site you're working with. Make sure it's a secured site like we said up front, and you'll do better with less information. In this section, what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about security, privacy, and anonymity. These are terms used in keeping things secure, keeping things private, keeping things anonymous online, but understanding the differences and how they may be impacted by what you're trying to do, I wanted to make clear. So let's do a little review of what the definitions and purposes of these three terms are. And in order to do that, let's jump to the next slide. First, let's talk about security. What actually is security online? So security involves being safeguarded while browsing sites or filling out an electronic form. This means you are safe from online threats, regardless of if you're being kept private or anonymous. Okay, so if you are doing something online to order something and they're telling you their site is protected and your transaction will be secure, this is what they're referring to. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're not known and your information isn't being kept private, but there are threats of somebody coming in online and attacking that is been eliminated. Privacy. Privacy involves you controlling who, if anyone, sees what activities you engage in online activity. So they can see who you are, but not what information or websites you access or seek out. So now hearing that, you can start thinking, okay, where might I need to be private and where might I need to have security in what I'm doing? And the final is anonymity. And this is when you opt to have your online actions seen, but nobody knows who you are. Okay? This is widely becoming more and more popular. Security was kind of like the first level, that you could transact certain things online, like do bank transfers and things like that. Privacy then became more important, that people can see who you are, but they have no idea what you're communicating. And the last level is basically being totally anonymous online, where others might see what's going on, but they have no idea where the information is coming from or being sent to. So I think it's kind of cool that they've developed this hierarchy. And when we go into looking at how these different terms apply to online security, we're going to talk a little bit here about some other considerations I want you guys to think about. We've covered the basics, some very basic things you could do, but now let's go into a little bit more detail on other things you could do to enhance your experience. First is using an email provider with data encryption. Okay, so what this allows you to do is basically ensure that the information that you're communicating with other people or other companies that you're sending email with, that information can't be pulled from the email. And how they do that is through data encryption. And I've listed some examples of companies: Mailbox.org, Mailfence, 210 Nota, Proton Mail, Proteo. There's a lot of companies out there that offer this kind of service. The basic services may start out free, but to get really what you want, you might have to pay a few dollars a month for the service. But what they technically do is encrypt your information going out so it can't be read through the transmission, and then decrypt it when it gets to your receiver, and vice versa, stuff coming in. Very, very important, especially when you look at how much Google, Facebook, Yahoo are in the news today. If you're using a Google Mail, you are going to their servers. And we don't know exactly what is being done with your information. And that's one of the most widely used. So there are other options out there to consider. Again, I'm recommending researching these. Another is using internet browsers that have privacy blockers. Again, Google, everybody likes to use Google, but again, it's going through their servers and they are gathering information. That's how you're getting advertisements and things like that based off of your browsing habits. And if you don't want that, you don't like that, that somebody's tracking you, that somebody's paying attention to what you're researching, you can use other types of browsers that are available out there. Safari and Firefox in the generic are not protected, but there are settings within them that can help increase your privacy. Okay, there's other companies out there like Brave, on Google Chromium, Tor, etc. There's other web browsers that you can use, some for a fee, but still they have servers that are designed to not track and to block anybody coming in trying to track the transmissions of what you're browsing for on the internet. Very good thing to look into. And finally, using a virtual private network, which basically can bring that anonymity into your browsing experience or computer online experience. What a VPN is it's basically a private server that decodes and encrypts information. It receives what you're requesting. Let's say you wanted to go to Amazon. It will literally change the address of you, and that's how this stuff works. To go back a little bit, you have an address. When you're going online, you're given that an IP address that goes out and says, hey, I'm requesting information, and that site has an address, just like a home. If you send a letter from your home to another home, you write on it the address you're sending it to, but you also write your return address. That's kind of what's going on out when you go search things on the internet. You have an address, and where you're going has an address. What virtual private networks do is they receive your information, put it into a different address, which makes you anonymous, gets the information, comes back and gives it back to you. So it's not really known by the receiver where the information or request is coming from, so on and so forth. So I'm not the best at explaining this, but I wanted to give you an overview. Again, this is something that you can buy. We have it set up in our office so that people cannot come in and they can't identify our information going out and the information coming in, okay? Again, research these. Companies like Surfshark, ExpressVPN, ProtonVPN, IPVanish, etc. These are companies, and they all explain the process that they use to keep your information discreet when you're going to different sites and things like that. So we covered a little bit here. Let's summarize what we've covered so far. What we're recommending is to start with the government website, online security, implement the 5 basics for improving your online safety, and then research ways that you can increase your security through private emails, internet browsing, and VPN network privacy offerings that are out there. Okay, so I hope this was helpful in a review. What I want to do in our final segment here is just touch on what we do at Daniel Krug and Associates to protect your identity. It's very important, and I'm going to hop in here, that you understand that we work diligently at keeping your information secure. We use the latest state-of-the-art information and services that are out there. Along with us, so does AssetMark, our back office and compliance arm, and Fidelity, who is your custodian. So I just want to touch in on a little bit of what we do to keep your information private. So first, we are governed by the SEC regulation S-P under the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. And this regulation protects the privacy and security of client data and requires us to safeguard that information, to protect it against any anticipated threats or hazards, and to protect it against unauthorized access or use of your information. So we are following that, and we've got companies that are experts in this that are helping us to monitor, track, prevent, so on and so forth. So in addition to that, we and our affiliates maintain a code of ethics. We have privacy policy, and you all should have received that, and you receive it annually from us. We have policies and procedures training for employees, which prohibits the sharing of data with any third party, a parent company, or affiliate for marketing purposes without written consent. And you need to know we will never sell any information to lists or things like that. We do keep your information 100% private and secure. What do we do physically in the office? Well, we have 24-hour video surveillance. We have sound, motion, door, and glass break detection. And we use a monitoring service that is 24 hours a day, around the clock, monitoring our surveillance systems. For computers and IT security, we have state-of-the-art Enterprise Edition firewalls. I didn't really touch on firewalls today, but that's something else you can learn a little bit about at the government website. Frequent password changes throughout the year. We use a password manager that creates crazy long, difficult to crack passwords, and they constantly get updated. We have offsite monitoring for disruption attempts. That's monitoring literally our server and our traffic flow of information in and out electronically. And we are monitoring and blocking questionable sites. So these things are built in, being monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have encrypted email, and we use two-step verification for our wealth management system, for fidelity access, and other sites that already have the highest encryption levels available. So, and for anything that we store electronically, we have military-grade encrypted flash drives for electronic storage. So we get the highest level of encrypted storage of information. Other things that we do in the office related to security. Documents that are no longer needed are shredded at our office. Phone call verification on third-party money transfers without standing instructions. So we literally double check every transaction where money is going out, where you've requested a check to be sent to this place or that place. And we constantly are monitoring and following up and auditing those. We have written security protocol systems for all mobile devices that leave the building, and they are all locked and have the latest antivirus software and encryption services built right into the computer. That's kind of things that we do in our office. AssetMark, one of the reasons we chose them, it's so highly qualified and so good at their monitoring systems and their security systems. They have network operation teams, literally staff that are monitoring all their network traffic 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have state-of-the-art protocols and security certificates to ensure that the connection between AssetMark and client browsers with us, with Fidelity, all those are secure. That's one of the reasons we brought them on board, is because the high level and quality of security that they have and can provide to us as clients and customers of them. Multi-tier network protection program to secure their data centers that are also highly encrypted. So they do a great job. Their industry-leading use of firewalls, intrusion protection, and detection solutions. They're always updating that too as new things are found, and they get those incorporated into their firewall. Anti-phishing, anti-farming detection going on with all the communication, with all the emails, so on and so forth. One of the reasons we use Fidelity is because they're an industry leader in the area of protecting client information. There's been a lot of companies that you heard of that have been hacked. They have not, and they've been able to provide just super security to our client accounts. They have strong data transmission encryption, firewalls, secure email, and proactive 24/7 system surveillance. They require two-factor authorization, and they have Fidelity My Voice authentication. And if you learn anything about those types of additional requirements to be able to log in, they are outstanding and really do prevent somebody even getting your information, login and password, being able to get in. They can't, because they have to have that second authorization. They have a money transfer lockdown procedure that if anything were to happen where they were hacked and money was going to leave the account, they have a lockdown system that prevents that transfer. They have security alerts that you can set up on your account for transactions. And they have the best customer protection guarantee in the business. And Fidelity is proud of the trust you place in them and want to ensure that you have peace of mind when doing business with them. And that's why they offer this guarantee. And I wanted to conclude with this. Fidelity will reimburse you for any financial losses that result from unauthorized activity on your account. Huge deal. And one of the reasons we use them is because they stand behind their security systems. Okay, and will protect you against any loss due to unauthorized activity on your account. That's big. So I hope that was helpful. You got to learn a little bit and get some information on where to go. Let's take a few minutes for Q&A. I'm looking over at the chat box, and Larry makes a very good point. He said VPNs are especially useful when traveling overseas. That is huge, because when you go overseas, you have no idea if you're at a hotel or a restaurant or whatever and need to access some information or get on the internet from there, what you're getting on. You're not even in the United States. You have different laws, different procedures, but if you are working with a VPN, third-party VPN, you are going to them, okay? And they will manage your transmission for you and protect your privacy and anonymity on that. So good point, Larry. We thank you for that. And I don't see any other questions out there at this time. So I will move on. And so if you want to learn more, this webinar, along with ones we've done in the past, will be available on YouTube starting tomorrow. We have many little topical type of webinars out there that are 10, 15 minutes long. We have our major wealth management reviews and Java workshop webinars that are available out there. So go out and check us out on YouTube and get the information you're looking for. Again, if you want to see this, it's going to be out there tomorrow. Get that website from the government or whatever. Go back over the tips and recommendations. You can do that. And the final thing we want to say is you take care of your family and we will take care of you. We're ready for the future. So thanks again for participating, everybody. Good to see you and have a great day. Goodbye now.